So companies are now hiring people with the explicit intent of laying them off, and literally nothing feels safe. I just saw a video of a girl who was day 2 of a new job, and she was called into HR, who she hadn't even met yet because it was her second day on the job, and told that her role had been impacted and that she was losing her job. On the second day, they then went on to tell her that this decision was being made during the time when they were extending her an offer, but they didn't want to withdraw the offer because they felt like that would have been wrong. However, when they hired her, like during her onboarding process, they were already aware that the shifts in the company were happening and that she was going to lose her job. I would rather you rescind the offer before I officially get started. Also, I don't know about this legally. If there are any employment attorneys, I would love to hear from you, because they told her point blank on camera, we hired you knowing that we were going to lay you off immediately. So not only does the job market itself suck, even if you land a position, you have to be immediately concerned because they might have hired you just to lay you off.
So I think I'm being laid off from my job today. If you couldn't tell by my appearance, I have been crying all morning. I haven't even had my meeting yet, but I got a calendar meeting today from someone I've never spoken to at the company, and a bunch of other people did too. So I am recording this because I feel like a lot of people can probably find comfort in knowing they're not alone. So we will see. Maybe it'll be something positive. Maybe I'm not getting laid off, but I am shaking.
That does impact your position. Today is going to be your last day.
I've loved my time here and I'm very thankful for it. So I appreciate it. I did not think that that would be my last day. My laptop's not even working anymore for me to like save things. Like,
I got laid off today. So getting laid off was obviously not in my cards for 2025 or any time in the near future. I've been with my company for almost 6 years. It would have been 6 years in March. So to say that I'm heartbroken is such an understatement. I have 3 kids. I don't know what the future looks like for us. I've never been laid off before, so this is really, really hard for me. I'm not a crier. But I've always left a job on my own terms, and I actually left my last job to start up, like get the company that I worked with recently, like off the ground and running. They were already like pretty established, but we were really, really, really small when we started. And, you know, just over the years we grew and, you know, they became really successful. So I'm happy for their success, but I'm just at a loss for words. Like, I just don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to like cope with like the grief. I have to drop my laptop off by Monday, and I'm just trusting God that, you know, he's gonna see my husband and I through this, and I know he's faithful to provide. And I know another opportunity is going to come. It's just really hard for me. And yeah, I don't know. Just pray for us. Pray for my family. Pray for my kids. And also pray for all the other employees that are going to be affected by this.
Is it just me, or am I the only one afraid of teacher layoffs next year? I'm a teacher in California. There's going to be a bunch of layoffs next year. One is because California is simply too expensive. People are leaving. And did you know that funding is tied to student attendance? The district a few years ago had 100,000 students, and now we're down to 60,000 students. Second is that we used to have COVID pandemic relief money, and now we don't. So during that time, districts were hiring a bunch of people, and now we don't have that money, so they can't afford to keep these people on. In my rank, I'm like number 800 out of 3,000 something teachers. In my school district. That means I'm the bottom 800, not the top 800. That'd be nice. So I want to ask you guys, teachers who worked during the 2008 pink slip era, like, what did y'all do to prepare for these mass layoffs?
2025, I'm gonna need a refund because this year sucks already. I just got laid off for basically the second time back to back. If you didn't know, I worked at Twitter and I got laid off when Elon Musk acquired the company. Since then, I've been working at a like a content strategy agency type place as a director of strategy, and I just got laid off yesterday. It's surreal because I definitely didn't want to go through another layoff. Being laid off the first time was one of the most traumatic events that have ever happened to me, especially because it happened so publicly. This time was obviously a little bit different, but the company lost some clients and now here I am without a job. It's hard not to reevaluate my life choices at this point. I work in tech, and so I'm wondering if that's still what I should be doing. It's hard to feel like secure in a job anymore. It feels like those days are over. So I don't know if I should be in tech anymore or working this corporate life. I love the security of having a stable job, but that hasn't been the case for quite some time for me because it's just been so unstable in the industry.
Second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I got laid off again. Twice in a year. And, what the fuck? What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So, we're gonna lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key, to even keep the current roof over my head. And now I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's fucking shit. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild, and I'm fucking angry more than I am hurt or sad. I am scared. I have no idea where any of my bills are gonna come from, the money. I'm more angry than anything because I just cannot even believe I used to be able to get a job like the week later if I got laid off. I have no idea what's gonna happen.
I am shaking delivering this news because this will affect all of us. This will affect you. This will affect your families. This will affect your children. As of this morning, Trump and RFK Jr. have effectively cleaned house at the CDC, the FDA, and the NIH. Kennedy announced last week that he would be firing 10,000 employees from these institutions. However, it was not just an overall cut of staff, trim of the fat. They are shutting down deliberate, specific offices that you and I rely on. Now, I don't want to forget any, so I'm going to read them to you directly. At the CDC, they shut down the National Center for Chronic Disease Prevention and Health Promotion, the National Center for Injury Prevention and Control, the National Center for HIV, Viral Hepatitis, STD, and Tuberculosis Prevention, the National Center for Environmental Health. Environmental health handles things like natural disaster preparedness, wildfires, massive storms. I know everyone's talking about the Joplin tornado. They handle things like sanitation and air quality tracking. They handle things like asthma, lead poisoning. Environmental health alone is a huge aspect of what you and I rely on every day to maintain our health. I can't wait to see them justify this one. They also shut down the National Center on Birth Defects and Developmental Disabilities. Robert Califf, the former FDA commissioner under Obama and Biden, said this: the FDA, as we've known it, is finished, with most of the leaders with institutional knowledge and a deep understanding of product development and safety no longer employed. They are also laying off 873 employees at the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. That is 2/3 of its staff. If you've ever had a job in the United States, you probably know about OSHA. OSHA was developed after massive amounts of human beings were harmed and or killed at their jobs during the Industrial Revolution. They are one of, if not the only, national institution protecting the health of the working class at their corporate jobs and or otherwise. This will affect all of us. This will affect all of us, all of our families, your children. This affects everybody. You do not cut specific offices like the Office for Gun Violence Prevention and Reproductive Health unless you are doing so to deliberately disenfranchise specific marginalized groups.
Don't quit your job. I know that you want to, but right now the job market is trash. There's an impending recession or depression, and as of today, the stock market has completely plummeted. A lot of people on TikTok have been saying that it feels a lot like 2008 all over again, except for without the we or Obama, and unfortunately I have to agree with that. I was laid off 2 weeks ago, so let's see just how bad it is out there. So far, I've applied for 24 jobs, and I've only gotten a response to one of them, and that was a rejection, which honestly, at least they responded to me. The rest of the applications, I haven't heard anything back. Going into this, I also thought that having a huge network that I have in my industry would be a plus, but there are just no openings, or at least no real openings. There's so many ghost postings, and with that, I've only been able to get one referral. The rest have all been just cold applying. I do have 2 leads for freelance work. It's not full-time. It still feels a little unstable, but at least it's something. So those are in the works. But yeah, it's really bad out there. I would recommend just staying at your job. It's worse applying in this job market. It's very humbling. For my other laid off folks, good luck out there.
Y'all, I was laid off today after being at my company for 13 years. I'm just trying to process this and wrap my mind around it. I just had a baby. I just purchased a home. There's just like a lot of things that I'm thinking about right now. Of course, my baby, he don't understand what's going on. He don't understand that mommy needs a moment. But, and I'm just so upset because it's like Trump with these tariffs, it has everyone scared. You know, we import a lot of stuff. I worked at a home shopping network where we import a lot of our stuff from China. So, you know, they're like, we need to cut. We don't know how this is going to affect our company. So I completely understand. I felt like it was coming, you know, when you work somewhere for so long, you know, you get annual raises. So I was getting paid pretty well. I'm not going to say that I wasn't. But all I had requested was, please give me a heads up. Like, if my job is in jeopardy, please let me know. Like, the last thing I want to do is, like, be called into a conference room with HR and just know what they're about to say, but, like, just not have the heads up and think I'm good. So, you know, working with these people for so long, I would think that I could have got, like, at least a heads up or something. But I get it. And
hey, my name's Ashley, and I'm one of the tens of thousands of federal employees who were unjustly fired this weekend. And I want to tell you a little bit about how that happened and why, as the American people, we should be really worried about this. When you're hired on as a Fed, you go through something called the probationary period, which sounds like something negative, but really it's just the either 1 or 2 years after you were first hired where you don't have the full like tenure or protections that other, you know, senior career federal employees have. So if you're hired with a disability, which is also called Schedule A, as I was, your probationary period lasts for 2 years. So I was hired as a contractor to the NIH in March of 2022. I was hired on as a Fed in September of 2023, and now here we are in 2025, and I still have about 8 months left on my probationary period, if my math is correct. Now, this might sound really boring, but this is important, okay? So pay attention. The Trump administration has decided that in order to do a wide-scale reduction in force, they are going to just without any regard for who the people are, what their positions are, or their seniority, whatever. Any probationary employee that is still within their 1 to 2 year period is just fired. And that's what happened this weekend in the Department of Health and Human Services and its sister agencies like the National Institutes of Health, which is who I work for. Okay, so probationary employees fired. My colleagues and I all got the same form letter from an unknown HR account saying that we had been fired for performance issues, okay, which, as you can imagine, with no proof to back up performance issues and the exact same form letter sent to all employees, the performance issues really aren't the problem here. So obviously I'm upset, right? Like, I landed in Arizona to visit my grandmother and some other family members, and at 10 o'clock at night I was checking my work email to find this form, termination letter that was sent to everyone else in my position at the agency. So it sucks, right? Like, you don't want to lose your job. You don't want to be fired for political reasons. And there will be class action lawsuits to fight back against this. But that's not really what I'm worried about here. And this is why I want you to pay attention. The team that I worked for at the NIH is the team that directs all of the HIV funding for the entire National Institutes of Health. And HIV funding is what allows researchers to study how to find a cure, for example, or how to implement the treatments that are available so that people who either don't have health insurance or who are poor or who have disabilities or who are homeless are able to access HIV treatment in order to live happy, healthy lives. Okay, so people are just being indiscriminately fired from programs like this. There are also programs at the NIH that study cancer. If your mom got breast cancer last year, for example, the money that is going to these scientists who are employed by the federal government, these are the people who are doing the cancer research, trying to find a cure, trying to figure out the best way to support people who have cancer. Similarly, firefighters are sometimes federal employees. The National Forest Service are federal employees. The Federal Aviation Administration are federal employees who have been fired under this probationary issue, okay? You are worried about air traffic controllers not having enough people to staff the control towers, and we're having more plane crashes these days. Like, these are people who are being indiscriminately fired. And often the folks who are on probationary periods are the ones who are the most energized. They just got out of their PhD program, for example. They're excited to start. They've committed themselves to a lower paying career in the federal service in order to serve the American people. So these are the people who are being fired.
Hello.
Hey, Simon, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for making time on short notice, and sure, my invite was rambling and not awesome, and you do not have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. I have a couple of notes to share with you, but I'll be glad to have those notes to make sure I cover things, but I will also follow up with an email so you don't have to retain everything I'm going to say. I made the difficult decision to restructure the XD org, and as a result, reduce the size of the org, and unfortunately you're impacted by this change. So your last working day is today, but the good news is you'll be paid through February 2nd. Those are the most important pieces of information. Your system access as an employee will be turned off at some point today. I'm not sure when exactly. In your Workday and Benefits portal, you'll still have access to until February 2nd as an employee, and then after that, you'll have access to it as an alumni. And then I'm going to email you the specifics of your severance, benefits, and a few other details that will probably be helpful later when you're ready to go through them. And then on your last day, you'll get your severance documents via DocuSign to sign, and I'll go to your personal email address. I want to pause. I know I just rattled off a whole bunch of really big news. Is there any questions or anything that you want to ask?
Are there any reasons other than just like restructuring? Like, what's the reason for the restructuring?
That's a really good question. It has to do with the company is doing consolidated priorities this year and next year. They are looking to, so the org, it has nothing to do with performance. It has nothing to do with location, and everything to do with the company wanting to do less in tech and take on less priorities. And as a result, the team is being reduced for that to support that.
Another question I had was around like my remote status, is that like a factor in this as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It did, to be perfectly honest, it did count, the remote status in general came up as a potential discussion, but it ended up not being a factor. Well, please don't obviously feel a pressure to do anything today other than take care of yourself.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Simone. Well, please, again, like, take today and take care of yourself. And again, I'm really sorry that this is happening.
Okay. Thank you. See you on LinkedIn,
All right.
I guess. I have already cried today. I'll probably cry more. Yeah, so I got an email like an hour ago that said, "Hi, I'd like to get together and share an update on our organization and what this means for you." So, yeah, I already knew that this was coming. At first, I thought that like maybe it wouldn't just impact me because someone else mentioned that they got the same email. And I was like, oh, well, maybe, because this has happened before when they laid off all of our managers. So I was like, well, maybe they're telling all of us at the same time that someone else is getting, like someone big at the top is getting laid off. But I reached out to that person and I was like, does your meeting start at 12? And she said, no, my meeting starts at 12:30. So when she said that, that's when I had my breakdown and that's when I started crying. I think the best news out of that is that I'm going to get my bonus, so that will help. I don't know how much the bonus will be because I don't know how well the company performed, but that check will come in March and I'll still get another regular paycheck from work. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I do have savings, thank God, but like I don't know what I'm gonna do if it takes months to get a new job because I still want to remain in tech. I still want a remote position, which those are harder to come by now. And like I don't know what I'm gonna do if I can't get another job because I have the mortgage now and the mortgage is like $2,700 a month.
I've actually had quite a few people ask me how my job search has been going. If you are unaware, I was laid off from my full-time job exactly a month ago, and I posted a video about it. It went viral and whatever, but I've had people ask me how my job search is going. If you couldn't tell by how puffy my eyes are, it's not going well. I feel like today is like the first time in the last month that I like actually had like a full-fledged breakdown just about the job market and things like that. It's really hard when like you go through an interview process somewhere and you are really hopeful about a job and then you don't get the job. And the job market is so tough because jobs want like 3 to 4 years of experience and most people like don't have that. Like I've just kind of come to the realization I have so much shit coming up this year between weddings, trips, my wedding, my honeymoon, our lease is up in June, and I hate crying on the internet, but it's just all very, very overwhelming, and it's really hard to even like have your application be seen by most companies. Like I just feel like when you apply on LinkedIn, your application is literally viewed by like AI, not a real person, so you're not getting through to someone. I've also just seen so many videos like on my For You page this week and like just over the past month actually of just people being laid off, and some of the comments are just like so mean on those videos. And even my video, like I got so much like hate on my videos. I haven't talked about being laid off since those videos just because I was tired of like receiving negative comments about it, but at the end of the day, like when you're laid off, like your income is literally taken from you without notice for something that like you didn't do. Like it's not like you got fired for something.
The job market right now is so trash that you might as well just stay at that shitty job that you hate until you get like another job locked in. So up until last week, I was unemployed for about 2 months, and the first month I pretty much just chilled, treated it like a vacation. But by the second month, that's when I started applying to places, and I applied to about 10-15 different places, and out of those 15 places, I heard back from maybe only 1 or 2 places. The rest, I didn't get no call, no emails, nothing. And when I had a job, I would see people come on here all the time talking about how the job market's shitty, that it sucks, and I really thought they were just talking. I didn't think it was true until I actually was unemployed and was looking for jobs, that it hit me. It was like, damn, bro, they really ain't lying. The job market really fucking sucks right now.
This job market is trash, and I'll tell you why. Because I had a final round interview for an entry-level job last week. Entry level, mind you, I am 32 years old. My last role title I had was senior operations analyst. This role I applied for was an operations coordinator. So literally at bottom of the totem pole, a girl who did my peer interview, low-key, I think she was 23, 24 years old. So that's the kind of jobs I'm applying to now, because I keep getting feedback that I don't have enough experience. So what I do, I applied to the lowest level out there, made it all the way to the final round, thought it was a really good fit. I am more than qualified for this job. I'd be such a great addition to this team. What do I get? Rejected. Don't worry though, I did not get my hopes up last time, so I am just whatever. But I would appreciate some feedback or clarification why I got rejected. I made it all the way to the final round, and no, I just get a blanketed email from the recruiter. I respond asking for feedback. Do I get a response? No. It's now been 3 days. No response. Now they're ghosting me, and I'm just
You guys want to know how bad the job market is? I almost cried mid-interview because I was so frustrated. What the fuck? I've never felt that before. But I'm just so frustrated and I don't know what to do. It was so overwhelming because those questions I couldn't answer because I don't have experience. But I can't get experience because no one wants to hire me. What the fuck? So just so you know, if you have a job that you hate, just keep it. It's hard.
Can't be the only person who feels like this. So I'm 30 years old. I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for 4 months. I literally can't get a job. I've applied to over 150 jobs. I now have negative $4.41 in my savings account because of the monthly service fee that just hit. I don't know when I'm going to get a job. I feel very lost. This feeling of being unemployed and applying to jobs and retailing your resume, getting rejected, and then seeing the job reposted literally 2 weeks later is demoralizing. And remembering that I am still worthy and I am still valuable has been very difficult. I left my last job because it was destroying my mental and physical health. I liked the job, but I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I applied to a new job, and I was going to make the most money I was ever supposed to make in my life. And they laid me off 4 days before I was supposed to start due to company reorganization, and I haven't been able to find a job since. I don't have a Roth IRA. I don't have any type of investment accounts. I don't know if I'll ever own a house. I am married, but we're both children, to be quite honest with you. I live in an apartment that we can no longer afford because I lost my job, moved down here for the job that laid me off 4 days before I was supposed to start. So when you sign a lease, you just can't get out of it like that. That's not how that works.
So if you haven't heard the news, I got laid off from my job a couple days ago. I'm still in shock, to be honest. I didn't work in the government setting. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and I worked there for 6 years. And it came out of the blue. There was no warning for this. In fact, when I got the meeting invite from my boss's boss, I get on the call and I see HR on, and I wasn't thinking, I'm about to get laid off. I was thinking, why is HR on the call? And yeah, they're restructuring and it happened, and I start crying because it's so shocking and unsettling, and you're like, oh my God, I have no job. I have no health insurance anymore. Like, what am I gonna do?
Why is it so hard to find a job? Why is everybody around me getting a job and working towards their life purpose, and I'm here getting rejected time after time after time after time? I'm educated, I'm well-spoken, I'm well-presented, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, and I have been getting a no after no after no for the past 2 years. Even the job that I did get last year, I got made redundant after 2 months. And this year I've been applying, going to interviews, doing everything correctly, and still I get a no. The last job that I went to was a hostess job at a restaurant in Mayfair, and I got rejected from that too. So what the fuck am I doing wrong? I just don't get it. I don't understand why I'm doing everything wrong. And it's so hard to feel positive and keep on going and just being like, okay, I can do this. Maybe like I'm being steered in another direction. Maybe God is trying to give me a sign, but I feel so alone because I don't see the signs. I don't see what I'm supposed to do. I've been applying every day. I applied to 30 fucking jobs. Every day, like, I'm on my shit. I message people on LinkedIn, the hostess job. I DM the restaurant on Instagram because I wanted to raise my chances of getting the interview. Went to the trial shift. The trial shift was really good. Nothing went wrong. I did everything correctly, but I still got a no. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, where am I supposed to go at this point? Because I don't know how much I have it in me to keep on staying positive. Because they have successfully broken me down to feel so worthless, so lazy, so stupid. I'm like, what is it?
So I was fired today and wanted to come on because I feel like, number one, this happens to a lot of people, and I was really blindsided by it. The reason I wanted to come on, number one, is because I feel like this happens to a lot of people, and it's like shocking and a lot to process. You know, you work for a company with people for a long time, and then to like just get a Zoom, or like, this was like a random meeting put on my calendar and it only showed like my manager on it. I didn't know like the HR person was gonna be on too, and then they just like said it very kind of coldly and then they just read out like the severance stuff and just said like, you know, it's your last day, effective immediately, and then just like log off, and you're just kind of like, what is happening? And I think the problem for me is, so they said it was because of a conflict of interest, and essentially at the start of the year, my husband, who worked at the same company as me at the time, he quit because he didn't, you know, he wanted to pursue other things. And at the time, I remember them being really pissed about it because my husband is really good at his job. He's really good at sales, and they just kind of lost this really great salesperson. So they were blindsided by him leaving. And then one day randomly, my manager called me. It was like, you know, how's it going? You know, normal conversation. And then he goes on to like completely blindsides me, and he's like, so where's Tanner going? And I'm like, I don't know, like he's just figuring out what he wants to do. We have a couple rental properties, and I was like, he's gonna work on like managing them, and yeah, like I don't know, that was like it. I just said he doesn't know what he wants to do yet. He just wants to change like what he's doing. And then he's like, well, you know, if he ever works at one of our competitors, then that's good, and you guys live in the same household, that's going to be a real problem. And I'm like, okay. It was just a really uncomfortable situation, and I felt like my job was being threatened at the time. So I get off the call, tell Tanner about it, and he's like, what the fuck? He didn't have, the balls to ask me directly about what I'm doing. Like, no questions about it to him when they had a conversation on the phone. But he'll go to my wife and try to get information out of her. So that just set him off. So we reported that to HR, had a conversation about it, and it was fine, moved on. I reviewed the handbook and everything, and it didn't say anything about family or spouse working at another company. So flash forward to April, May, and Tanner came out on LinkedIn and said he's working at this adjacent company now, and I'm guessing that's what set them off, because I got let go because of a conflict of interest, and it's because my husband works at a competitor company. My husband, not even me. And I'm just trying to process this. So I went back to the handbook, and they added that your family cannot work at a competitor. Your family cannot work at a competitor. What?
All right, it's official. I am being laid off. Just received my preliminary reduction in force notice that I am, what's the word? Notice of recommendation not to reemploy for 2025-2026. You are receiving this notice either because you serve in a particular kind of service that is being reduced or eliminated. So, can someone please just explain to me how the teacher of the year gets laid off? And yes, I am upset. But I think I'm so angry right now that it's gonna take me some time to sift through these emotions.
Today I walked into work and smiling and greeting as I always do, with a positive attitude. And when I walked into work today, I was told, Haley, you shouldn't be smiling today. What? We are all losing our jobs today. Today is your last day. You're being laid off. There wasn't a notice. There wasn't an email sent out. There wasn't our higher-ups telling us anything that we knew. But to come to find out that there has been some confirmation on their part that they knew, but we didn't know until we walked into work today. We just started our pay period for this week. Imagine coming into work, you just started your pay period, and you come into work today and you find out you're no longer gonna have a job. But not to your fault, but to the company's fault. There has been so many people in the last week that have got an apartment, got a house, got a car because they really needed it to get to work, has a family, has bills. How are we supposed to even pay bills knowing you just laid us off starting our new pay period? But this is square one health to you. It's embarrassing coming to work and the news showing up and you're finding out that you're losing your job, but the higher ups know, but none of the employees know. You're finding out as you come into work today. Why is that okay? Why is it okay that we don't get paid our pay time off? We worked really hard for those hours. There are people that have over 80 hours of paid time off, and they're not getting paid it because Square One Health is not going to pay it, and that's what they told us today. They are not going to pay us our paid time off. Why is there no repercussions for a company that knew that they were going to shut down but didn't tell their employees? until we found out today.
너 왜 울어? 문제 있어? 무슨 문제가 있어? 엄마한테 말해.
I need to tell my mom that I got laid off. This is not going to be an easy call. We're going to just FaceTime her from my phone.
여보시오.
뭐해?
가게에서 일하지?
오늘 가게 일하는 날이구나.
어쩐 일로 전화를 했어요?
아이, 전화한 지 오래됐잖아, 우리가.
그래서 잘 지내고 있나요?
잘 지내고 있지.
왜 그러지? 너 왜 울어? 문제 있어? 무슨 문제가 있어? 엄마한테 말해.
진짜 엄마한테 하고 싶은 말이 아니었어, 이게. 근데 오늘 회사에서 정리해고 당했어.
아이고.
생활비도 어떻게 지낼까. 엄마는 맨날 나만 걱정하잖아. 그래서 더 걱정시키고 싶지 않아, 나는.
아니, 괜찮아.
그래서 말 안 하려고 했는데 내가
안 하면 안 되지.
그니까 엄마니까 그래도
그렇지.
엄마한테는 말하고 싶었고.
울지 마. 할 수 있어. 할 수 있어. 너 좋은 잡 찾을 수 있어. 걱정하지 마. 괜찮아. 울지 마. 그리고 레이벌 디파트먼트에 가가지고 엄마하고 아빠는 걱정해본 적이 없어. 다 너 잘할 거라고 생각했어. 괜찮아.
고마워. 엄마가 그렇게 말해줘서 너무 고마워.
너도 더 좋은 잡을 찾을 수 있어. 걱정하지 마.
계속 열심히 하고 있었지만 지금부터 이제 더 열심히 하고 내 자리를 찾을 거야.
사람들은 그런 일 한 번씩 다 당해. 이게 나를 좀 더 스트롱하게 하는 그런 거야. 그러니까 절대 실망하지 말고 더 좋은 잡, 이 기회가 너를 더 좋은 잡을 찾을 수 있게 하는 그 기회일 수도 있어. 필요하면 언제든지 엄마한테 말해. 필요한 거 있으면. 오케이? 부족했던 잠도 자고 어디 이제 어디냐 도서관 앞에 지금 꽃들도 막 필 때잖아. 꽃 구경도 가. 그 튤립 필 때잖아.
미안해, 엄마.
파이팅! 파이팅! I love you. 힘내.